Hi, I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm excited to share with you the speaker portion of our Connections After Hours gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. Yvonne Silver is speaking on 3 secrets to attracting versus chasing clients. Yvonne is passionate about women entrepreneurs flourishing in business. As the CEO for Women and Wisdom Media, a speaker, best-selling author, and certified executive coach, CPHR, and emotional intelligence consultant, radio show host, and entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in 8 startups. She's an expert in communications, sales, and engagement who's helped thousands of women elevate their language and have more sales, impact, and higher earnings. You can find out more about her on her website, which is yvonnesilver.com. That link is also in the text of this video. Yvonne, thank you for being with us tonight. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Ginny, for the kind invitation. So we were just in a little breakout room there, and it was interesting that every single person is in a service-based business. So entrepreneurs, but not with manufactured products, but with services. So I think this will be even more relevant. So
great, wonderful. Well, you're on.
Awesome. So I just want to speak to this topic for a minute of attracting versus chasing, because what I'm certainly seeing and I'm hearing from my clients is there is a lot of noise out there in the marketplace. There's a lot of people popping up, waving their hands, stop, over here, stop the scrolling. And I believe there's a better way. I actually read a book many years ago that I refer to my clients all the time, which is called Attracting Your Perfect Customer, The Power of Strategic Synchronicity. And it really resonated with me because I didn't want to be chasing or feeling that I'm chasing. My primary personality is nurturing and then action. So I don't want to feel like I'm chasing anybody. I don't want to feel like a conversation is an icky sales conversation. So how do we do it differently? So what I loved about that book is it really dove into 4 different questions. First one is, who is your ideal client and what makes them tick? So part of it is recognition. Then it was about you as the individual, as the service provider. So what do they expect of you? And what might you have to shift a little bit in order to be attractive to them? So the concept they shared in the book was, instead of, if you were trying to attract boats, for example, instead of running across the beach backwards and forwards, waving your arms, over here, boats, that you become the lighthouse, beaming such a strong message for miles around. The boats are naturally attracted to come in to the light. And that's the approach that I've used for the last 15 years while I've been doing my coaching business, but for many years before that as well. So it's about attracting, it's about engaging, and it's not about chasing. And the other thing is, you know from what I just shared in the breakout room, as the author of this best-selling book, Words, Women, and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations, that there's 40 different words and word concepts in here to help women to ask for what they want and get it. And one of the things is about really getting clear in who you are becoming as the leader of your organization. And so it's not just about the words you use to describe your business, it's about embodying it. So that when someone meets you for the first time, whether they're meeting you on Zoom or whether they're shaking your hand at a event, there is no doubt in their mind that they can connect what you're saying and how you're showing up. So who are you being, right? In coaching, we very often talk about be, do, have, and making sure that who we are being creates that opportunity to do something differently, and therefore we have a different result. And I have a really dry mouth tonight, so you have to excuse me if I keep sipping on water so that we can keep the conversation flowing. So we had a number of ideas that just came through a Zoom room. I am pleased to share that none of them are what I'm going to share tonight. So I did put a few slides together. I'm going to share a few slides and then I'll stop and maybe throw out a question. And then I'll share a few more slides and then stop and throw out a question. So let's see if I can share my screen here. Looks like I have the capability. Okay. And just for now, I'm just going to put myself just on the top here, and so it's not too busy. So this is what we're going to talk about. 3 secrets to attracting versus chasing clients. So that's the topic for tonight. And I'm glad to see that there was a couple of people at least that said, yep, that was why they came to the session today. So first of all is identifying who is your ideal client. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit when I talk about that. Second piece is about ASK, asking. And it's standing for Appreciative Sales Kinetics. So this is a concept you may not have run across before unless you've heard me talk before. And then the third thing is about conversational success. As I shared, I'm all about powerful conversation. So how do we do that differently so that it leads to something that I call, or actually has been coined by the creator of the tool, my favorite tool that I use, as sales velocity. So instead of having maybe 10 conversations before someone says, yeah, I'll join your service, I will get your program, whatever it might be, that happens far faster. So that means that your time is being leveraged more effectively and you can get to have more conversation because it's not taking as long. And it's about connecting. So Ginny shared a little bit about me. So yes, certified executive coach. I chose that as my final career. My first piece was hiring and training sales reps. That's what got me from London, England, to Calgary, Canada, first Vancouver for a little bit, and then in Calgary. And then I added on chartered HR professional when I started working for a startup and hired about 6,000 people, and it got kind of crazy. And then added on some extra things along the way, EQI, etc. So these startups, not all my own, but one of them sold for 12.5 million, and that was part of what I was on the leadership team for. So all about growth. That's my passion, teaching women to flourish in business by having more confident conversations. And it's a nice industry to be in because it's not dependent on the specific industry. Coaching covers all industries because it's a modality for helping people to step into their possibility. So that's the book I wrote. As I said, it's all about making small changes, but powerful words. And then the last chapter is actually when no words are even required. So how do you use a power pause, for example? How do you position yourself if you're in a boardroom so that you're not the one where the guys are coming in and saying, hey, can you grab me a coffee? No, I'm chairing the meeting. How do you do that? Simple tip, put a jacket on that has a collar, right? If you go to a golf course, they don't allow people to wear round neck t-shirts. It's just too casual. But if you have a collar, like a golf shirt with a collar, it amps it up all of a sudden. It just adds more formality. It looks classier. So for women, if you get to the meeting, you find that everyone's in t-shirts and jeans and short sleeves, you can always take it off. But if you don't have a jacket, then you're not going to be able to add that later. So always have a jacket with you, especially one that has a collar, whether it's a Mandarin collar or it's a lapel collar. Very powerful. So there's a lot of tips in the book that are words, and then there's a chapter on when no words are required. This is me and my mom. So the reason I even wrote the book, my mom was my first what I call unmentor. So here she is. She was 42 when she had me, and she married a war vet. He came back from World War II. He got a bullet in Dunkirk. He had PTSD. He did not get treated, and he showed up as a really angry man. And here's my mom, a professional woman, had her own salary, had her own job, then got married and started becoming a housewife and having kids. And she lost her power. She didn't have her own money anymore. She was relying on a meager housekeeping money. She taught him to drive the car. He took the car keys and wouldn't let her drive the car. He literally drained her dignity right out of her. And then ultimately, because of his criticism and his anger all the time, he caused her to literally lose her voice. And that's what I grew up watching. So I swore that I was never going to be that person, although I did end up losing my own voice in high school because of an incident with him. But that's what I wrote the book about, to help make sure that no other woman doesn't feel like she has a voice or has the tools to be able to ask for what she wants and get it. And that was my first school photo. I think I'm 6, 5. So now the work is about helping women through a lot of speaking events like this, live speaking on stage. And I think that the key thing is also, I'm just going to put us on the big screen for a sec here, about having relatability. Like, that's what builds connection. I spoke at a conference, women's conference, 500 women in the audience. I'm standing in the bathroom about to go on stage. I look down, I have a run in my nylons. I'm like, great, right? Luckily they were nude nylons, but I knew it was there. Like, has that ever happened to any of you? Yeah, right? So I bounced up on stage and I say, hey, has anyone ever had run in their nylons? I mean, the whole audience just cracked right up. Now, you don't have to be standing in a room of 500 women to do that. You can build that connection and that relatability, even in a one-on-one conversation, even when you start a network with a networking group in a room, if it's a live event. But it's about finding something that you have in common, so you don't feel like you're pushing water uphill to start a conversation. There's a natural connection, right? Hey, did you find that last parking spot in the car park? Oh my gosh, it's so cold out there. I'm glad I bought my stuff. Did you have mittens with you? Did you have gloves? Whatever it might be, it could be a simple icebreaker, but it gets that relatability piece going, which is the start for a conversation. So let's dive into some of these content pieces, quickly identifying ideal clients. First of all, what triggering events happen that cause your clients to put their hand on their wallet and pick up the phone and call you? Is it Valentine's Day and they're thinking about love? Is it fall, they're thinking about getting promoted and the performance reviews? Is it a book writing contest? Like, what is it that is naturally occurring? And I've got this picture on the side here of the leaves, right? So naturally, we have nature, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter. It's naturally occurring. We don't have to tell people spring is coming, but how can you tap into what they already know is happening and align your services so that they have a logical reason to open up that email, to connect with you, to have that conversation. They're not saying, oh, that's weird. Why is Yvonne talking about love around Valentine's Day, right? It's a natural connection thing that's happening. So what are your triggering events that your clients go through? Because when they're going through something right now, that's when it's on their mind. That's where they're going to seek out a solution. You don't have to hunt for them. They're going to be looking for you. And very often, going to somewhere like YouTube and doing some adverts. I heard a lot about social adverts, but if you're going to do adverts and pay for it, why not go on YouTube, where people are buying going to Google anyway to search on how to ... That's where they're going. They're not going to Facebook necessarily to search on how to XYZ. They're going there for another reason, but they're going to YouTube to search on it. And it's all connected in with Google information. So might be worth checking out. And having an identifiable ideal client profile. So are you crystal clear? What have you done in your life? And why are you the best person to take them by the hand and lead them through the transition to provide the services that will get them their end game result? So I met Mary in the breakout room. Mary's been a journalist for umpteen years, right? So of course she can showcase, look, I was here, then I wrote a book, and now I'm here, right? So it's clear, it's evident that she's already done the work and she can show you how to do it. That's what people are buying these days. It's not, look at me over here, I can tell you this and that and the other. It's, have you actually done it? If you have, show me the steps. Oh, okay, now I can see the path from A to B, I'm willing to engage in your coaching program. So when I talk about my Flourish program, it's about visualizing, it's about monetizing, it's about optimizing. There's no point in trying to build a website on day one if you haven't got a clear client profile and you're writing it for somebody you don't even know who they are. It's more important to have a traffic generation strategy to get people looking at the website than what's on it to begin with anyway. Otherwise, it's like a sunny day with the blinds closed, right? So really refine that ideal client profile. Somebody mentioned in the room referrals. Obviously, that is your fastest way to get more clients, right? You go back to your existing clients, past clients. You can do a touch-in like Oprah does. Hey, you know, what happened in the last 2 years since I talked to you last? What happened since we connected? You had a great result. Remind them of the results that you got together, working together, especially if you're working in coaching of some sort, and then refresh them. And then you open up the conversation. You know, you had such a great result. There's probably lots of people that you chat with every day. I wonder who you might know who may also be interested in having a conversation about flourishing this year. Who do you know? And it's not a do you know anybody, which is a yes or no question. It's who do you know, right? And then you stop talking and you let the silence do the heavy lifting, right? Because the silence gets awkward. And then eventually they say, oh, I know, you need to connect with my friend Mary, my friend Sue. Well, great. You know what? Could you do me a small favor? Could you give them a quick call? Could you send them a quick note and just let them know that I'm going to be calling, because it has so much credibility rather than you saying, hello, you know, Susan told me to call you, when Susan's taken the extra step to make a warm introduction for you, right? Have a clear word, 5-word summary, right? People can remember very few things these days. We're all busy, right? So 5 words. My 5 words are women entrepreneurs seeking to flourish. That's it. That's who I work with. So who do you serve and what is the result that they get? And then it's easier to fill in the blanks. So you've got a maximum of 5 words, kind of like a tagline, right? So what are your 5 words? Can you describe it without giving reams and reams of information? It's about who you serve and the result that you get for them, right? Nice and clear and crisp. And then think about some of these everyday situations that people have, you know, whether it's buying a home, getting their finances in order, it's tax season, you know, having some specific dreams and goals, and their kids going to school. Like, what are the things that are happening anyway that tie back to those triggering events that are happening in their life anyway, that open the door for you to naturally have a conversation? Hey, Susan, I thought about you because it's going back to school season. And even though my kids are all grown up, how are you doing with getting things planned for back to school? It's an easy conversation. It's an inquiry, right? The other thing is number 6 is about reducing competition. I mean, I don't buy into the concept of competition. However, if anyone here does, because I think, I don't know, I'm a unique person. I have a very unique story. There's no other Brits on the line here that I know of who had a mother who had a PTSD father. You know, we're all unique, like DNA. Nobody is the same as us, right? So even if we were thinking that we wanted to reduce competition at any time, there's probably about 3 to 5% of people at the top of the triangle here, or your funnel, reverse funnel, that are ready to buy right now. What about the 65% that you could educate into your program? They didn't even know they needed it. They didn't even know it was a possibility. And then you become the expert, the go-to expert, because you expose them to the first idea and the concept, and then you nurtured the relationship to actually have them to start engaging with you, to start asking questions. Well, that piece takes a little bit longer. It's a nice balance if you have referrals, because you can afford to then have some short-term strategy and some long-term strategy. So anything sparking right now for the group before I go on to the next piece? Any questions coming up? Ginny, I can't see the chat window and do the screen and the sides. Any questions coming up?
don't see anything. I just want to say I do love the 5-word summary so much. Women entrepreneurs seeking to connect. That just came to me right there. So thank you.
Seeking to flourish.
For me,
Right.
it's seeking to connect.
Yeah. For me, it's flourish. For you, it's connect. Absolutely. Love it. Okay. So how am I doing for time? Just how much time do I have?
It's about probably about 5 more minutes. Yeah.
5 more minutes. Okay. Zoom, speed it up. Okay. So the second thing is about trust, right? How do we build trust? 3 easy ways, and they all begin with C, so they're nice and easy to remember. So first, we show confidence that we know how to do this. Secondly, we show consistency and follow through. We say we're going to send you something tomorrow, we send you something tomorrow. And then we look back and we say, as promised, here's the ... I said I would send you tomorrow. Here it is. And the first 3 connections you have with that person, that's the phraseology, is as promised, as promised, as promised. You're setting it up that the expectation is other people can trust you because you're delivering. And the third thing is caring. How do you show that you care? First, you listen without interrupting, and then you ask them to share a little bit more. So you go deeper, and then you say, okay, let me think about that. I'll get back to you. You get back to them and you say, because of what you told me, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to implement. I'm going to change. I'm going to shift. I'm going to introduce you. You implement something that shows that not only were you listening, but you cared enough to do something about it because you value their input. So it's about gathering the information and then implementing and acting on it. So that's actually from 3 PhD women at the Center for Creative Leadership, that research. So that's all about retaining women. The last piece of this is about using conversational success. And I use a tool called Codebreaker. Some of you may have heard of it. It's really about the future of sales. So yes, it has an AI engine behind it. The primary thing that I do with it, though, is I use it on the front end of all of my conversations. So when someone books into my calendar, I want to know a little more about them. I know that there are 4 different personality types, and they're very, very different in how they engage. So someone who's nurturing is going to come on, they've got pictures in the background of their family, they're going to come on and say, how are you doing today? And they care deeply to connect with you. The action person probably has pictures of, sports cars, and they're on the call and they're like, let's get going. What are we talking about today? They're very action driven, oriented. The knowledge personality primarily wants the details, the evidence, the facts, and the science. They're not going to buy anything you say. They want to think about it. They want to do their own evidence and convince themselves it's a good idea, and it's got to be cool. And then the last one is the blueprint personality. They love step-by-step instructions. They like rules, lawyers, people that have police officers, people that have a strong attraction to rules and law. They like things presented in a different way. So, for example, Ginny was talking about live events. This person's going to arrive half an hour earlier. This person is going to skate in the door as things get rolling. This person's going to want to hug everybody. And this person doesn't want to touch anybody or shake their hand. So even how we approach them is very different, right? Because there's 4 different personality styles. So I use BANK, which is what I have described here is blueprint. Action is the red, nurturing is the blue, is the yellow, and then knowledge is the green. I use this in my calendar. So when someone books into my calendar, I offer them a free gift. Hey, get a free report. Tells you all about your personality code, your personality communication style, and then we'll have a more resonant conversation. Because I know I better bring what they are looking for to the table. And if they want the data and the science and the evidence, I'm going to bring that. If they want to go fast, we're going to bring that and have that short conversation. If they want nurturing and the impact and it's got to have a philanthropic piece, I'm going to bring that. Because it's not about me, it's about serving. It's about what is it that the other person wants. And so this is one of the few tools that I've seen out there that actually doesn't look at you as an individual. It looks at who is the other person and what is it that's going to attract them? What is it that's going to make them want to buy from you? Because you've given them the information in the fashion that they like. So people are smart. They can make their own mind up, but if they haven't even heard the message, it's like, I'm talking English and they're talking French. We're missing each other, right? So there's a lot of science behind this. I won't go through all the detail, but just know that if you're matching your conversational tone and type with different personality styles, that it can actually shift from an 18% chance of success to a sale to 82%. That's huge, right? That's basically saying that more than, it's more than a numbers game. Sales is not a numbers game. It's like the number one thing to learn how to do in business, because we can get it wrong. We can actually have 3/4 of our sales going out the door because we didn't connect with the person. So think of it like building blocks. The more you know, the more you can actually help have conversation with others. So I use this all the time. If you'd like your own report, I'm happy to put a link in afterwards. And I'm just going to stop the slide share for a second here and come on back, because I could talk about personality science for a long time. And you said before I had 5 minutes. So if you would like to have a complimentary report, I can put the link in the chat window. And then I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation with anyone who wants to understand it a little bit better and see how does that line up with what you're doing already. Because it really is about not only attracting the right conversation, but having the smoothest conversation. And a sale is really only one conversation that is the beginning of serving. So I say, cross out the word sales, put in the word serve, and you're off to a great start. So that's what I wanted to share. It's about being clear. It's about approaching people with respect and the fashion that they want. And then also using that appreciative sales kinetics concept, which is about, instead of starting with, tell me your greatest challenge, who wants to talk about that, right? It's about starting with appreciating what's working. Hey, what's working really well already in your business? And then inquiring into, sounds great. How could it be even better? And sometimes people will tell you then, well, it could be better if I did X, Y, Z. So they'll self-identify where there's a challenge very often anyway. And then all you simply say is, can I share a little bit about what I do? Because I think based on what you shared and what you're doing now and where you want to go together, see this hand signal, together, we could co-create a solution that would help you get even faster to where you want to go. You want to have that conversation. Why would anyone say no? We're talking about a possible future, maybe co-creating idea, and it works like a charm. So that's what I wanted to share today.
Thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. And I want to ask the women here with us on Zoom if you would please unmute yourself so we can applaud and show our appreciation for the really great tidbits and tips that I think Yvonne shared with us. So
Yay!
thank you. Thank you. Got a lot of food for thought there. And I want to thank anyone who's watching this live or on our YouTube channel. If you want to join us for one of our Zoom or in-person gatherings, go to my website, opwgc.com, where you can find all about our community and the On Purpose Woman magazine. Again, thank you for watching.